big wine bottle.
Why is he bringing out the good?
Get
the
a
big
bigger
one?
glass!
I did not.
Did you like the fursuit parade? As much as I would like to take the credit for the fursuit parade and it was all my idea and everything, I would dearly love to. But I do want to remind everyone that Anthrocon is not one man's convention. It was a group effort by the board of directors. I will point out the parade route itself was Peter Cat's idea. The original parade route that I came up with, I realize now was just moronic. We would have had fursuiters piling up on top of each other with broken limbs, and it would have been tragic and adorable simultaneously. But I'm very, very glad that it came off as well as it did, because it can be very, very difficult to run a convention the size of Anthrocon. And as evidence for that, I will indeed point out to the fact I am actually 26 years old. I would like, by the way, to introduce on stage also with me the eminent Mr. Foxamore. And the incredible Mr. Vic Lee, who will be helping our friends who do not quite hear as well as others do. And I have promised Vic, up one side and down the other, I gave him my solemn promise that I would not make him say such things as, "Look at my beefy biceps." Do you see these here? But I might make him say things like, "The old guy's a dickweed and I'm just gonna totally kick his ass before the night's over." And as I say, it can be a memorable experience running a convention the size of Anthrocon. Some of you may recall, because I don't, and I'm old and stuff like that, did I tell you all the story last year of what happened when Jim Cummings arrived in his... I did?
Yes.
Yes. But I don't think I told you what happened a few nights later.
No.
You remember Lee Tokar, our guest of honor last year? Delightful man, loved to pieces, very, very sweet fellow. Lee started to get worried about me. He said, "You look like you're running yourself ragged." And I said, "What gives you that idea? I'm fine. I'm 26 years old." And Lee said, "Why don't I take you across the street and buy you a glass of wine?" Talk about invigorating, man. Let's go. Yay. Okay. Ready to get some wine? Yes, wine for me, wine for me, wine for me and Lee. Here we go. Yay. We're going to sit down and have some wine. Lee bought me some wine. It's wonderful. And I'm going to have wine with Lee. It's wonderful. And I poured the wine and I pulled it to my lips. And that's when I heard the sirens. This was at Tenpenny across the way, and when I looked across the street, there were fire engines pulling into the Westin with their lights on, and firemen in full turnout gear carrying hoses started to get out of the fire engines and go into the front. Do any of you remember that? Yeah. I do. I looked at Lee mournfully. Said, "Excuse me." And I went across the street. Very purposefully walked between the fire engines, crossed the fire lines, burst into the front alongside with the firefighters, and I shouted, and I apologized to any children in the audience. I shouted, "Who the fuck set my hotel on fire?" Furries in the lobby said to me,
I'm not going to do all the verses because there's like 10 million of them.
Thank you. Basically, that's what they said. And I went to Kelly Pride. You might have seen her. Kelly's a beautiful lady, and she's our convention services manager. And I said, "Kelly, what's going on?" "Well, you know, I made the rule that you cannot smoke your electronic vapor cigarettes in the Westin. I might have mentioned to everybody that every single rule we have is made for a reason. This is not whimsy on the part of Uncle Kage. I don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to make a rule that's going to totally dick with people. Rarely do I do that. Only when it is absolutely comedic. But in this case, it was necessary. Because what had happened was on the 9th floor, in the elevator lobby, a gentleman was vaping. And someone said, "You should not be vaping, sir." And the gentleman, annoyed by this, said, right under the smoke particulate sensor, which set off the fire alarm, which summoned 3 fire companies and dropped all the elevators to the lobby. You can punch me in the face. You can trip me when I pass. You can call my mother names, but you do not screw with my elevators. the service elevator up to the 9th floor, and there were people there, and I said, "Did you see him?" And they said, "Yes." I said, "What did he look like?" They said, "He was a heavy-set man with a beard." Okay. The problem was, when I become vexed, it's hard for me to unvex, especially at Anthrocon. I was ready to get my hands on this man. I was ready to remove his pancreas through the pores of his skin. Molecule by molecule over the course of 10 weeks. You kick for my elevators. But I could not find him. Now, very much like a samurai sword, which must taste blood once drawn, I needed satisfaction. Now, lots of people believe that Uncle Kage's stories are made up or exaggerated. You can ask Talon on my stuff crew, because he was with me and he saw the whole thing. As I started prowling the halls, looking for someone I could yell at. Looking for somebody doing something that I could get mad over. And I walked all along the 9th floor. And I went up the stairs to the 10th floor. Nothing here. I walked down the 10th floor and Talon saying, "You should just go to bed." No! Must taste blood! Up to the 11th floor. We got up to 11 and I hear a loud party. And inside I heard loud music, so louder. And inside I said, "Oh man, somebody's at the goddamn door!" Oh my God, it's Uncle Kage. And the door opened a little crack, and a little face slid and I said, and Talon said, "Are you satisfied?" I said, "No. That wasn't enough. Let's go up to 12. More. I must have more. Let's go to 12. Let's go around the corner." Listen. Is that a room sign affixed with duct tape? The sword was satisfied at that point. For those of you who have never seen me perform before on stage, this is what I do. I basically put this in my face and noise comes out. I keep doing that until I throw up on my shoes and collapse, and people seem to think that's funny. So let's get started, shall we? A lot of folks know that I tend to travel a lot, primarily for furry conventions. Furry conventions fly me all over the world. They've flown me to multiple continents, to multiple countries, to multiple cities across the United States, all for the exclusive exclusive purpose of putting this in my face and getting drunk and vomiting on my shoes and falling down. It's a great gig if you can get it. I'm pretty happy with it, except for the next morning. And some people have said, I am worried that Uncle Kage might be turning into an alcoholic. Now, I have taken steps to avoid alcoholism. I've done some research. First off, one of the signs of alcoholism is if you drink alone. So I made it an absolute, positively hard and fast rule. I do not drink alone. I've got all of you here. I have this problem. I do not drink alone. Thank you for being here. You saved my life. And if I'm at home and want to drink, I fire up a webcam. If 1,000 people are watching, that's not alone. I call those wine streams. You may have seen them. Yeah! They go on for about 4 hours, the last hour and a half of which is just empty air because I'm under the table, so you can see those. But as I do fly very, very frequently, the airline that I fly too frequently is United Airlines. They've had their issues of late, but they are not a bad airline. Yes, they are. Okay, all right. I couldn't finish that sentence with a straight face, but all right. I had my status with United Airlines. What status, you might ask? There is silver status. There is gold status. There's platinum status. There is premier status. I happen to have the silver, gold, platinum, premier, suck my dick level status. Again, if there are any children in the audience, if they're laughing, it's not my fault. Now, as a frequent flyer, I'm very experienced. I took a trip of late out to the West Coast back in the wintertime. And I got to the airport fairly early. And as I was early, I went to sit down and have some breakfast. And I was enjoying my breakfast. And I could see the gate from where I was. And I noticed that there were a lot of people looking very agitated at the gate. And I stood up. And I said to myself, this is story material. So I went to the gate, and they had a sign that said, overbooked, volunteers needed. Well, it was a 7 a.m. flight. I had to fly back to Raleigh, North Carolina. And I don't need to be back by 4 in the afternoon. I can be back a little bit later. I shall go out. Now, of course, I always dress to the nines when I travel. The bowler, the overcoat, the black gloves, looking very, I am a very rigid. Trying to pretend I'm one of these guys, you know, the British people. Sorry, the Scottish British people. The Northern British people. I guess that's British. So, moving right along before I get a caber thrown at me.
It's okay, Ashley. I've had a bunch of times where people call me Irish. But there was a time like, oh, are you Irish? It's like, no, I'm Scottish. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. I'm really, really sorry. It's like, no, it's fine, just don't call me English. That's what everyone laughed, and I was like, it's not supposed to be funny.
I can't wait till
I've just offended half of the UK there, I'm sorry. We really love each other, we really do.
To our friends across the city, we do definitely apologize, but what the hell do we care? You're in bed by now. Anyway. So, I went up to the counter, and the lady was frantically typing away, smoke coming from her keyboard, her fingers raw and bloody, her hair all down in stringy tatters, and her eyeshadow running from tears. I said, I understand you're looking for volunteers, Mrs. She said, yes! I said, I didn't want to appear mercenary, so I tried to find a politically correct, gentlemanly way. And what I came up with was, well, what's in it for me? Which I don't think I meant to come across that way, but it did. And she said, we will put you on a later flight and give you a $600 voucher for your next flight. A 600, okay, I've heard of $150 vouchers, $200. You're offering me a $600 voucher. I can get a first-class ticket to Megaplex for $600. And you're gonna give me a $600, yeah, give me the $600 voucher right now. Gimme. I'm all for it. She said, no, wait. Some people may not show up. And if they don't show up, we will have enough seats. I said, well, I can see to that. Point them out to me. She said, no. We're probably going to need you to volunteer. Just stand back a little bit and wait. And if we have to give up your seat, we can put you on a Delta flight that leaves at noon. It connects through Atlanta, and we'll get to Raleigh at 10 p.m. Do it. I'm standing back here, miss. Yes, I'm going to wait. I have some patience. I wanted the $600 voucher. I wanted that $600. Dude, that's like, yay, I want it. I want the money. Gimme. So anyway, every person who came up, I go in and say, now. She said, no, not now. Just step back. Well, then there came a gentleman, a large, bloated, pustulent sort of fellow, in a very expensive business suit. He came pouncing up to the counter, and he declared, why does my ticket say that I have a confirmed? You cannot, why are you putting me on standby? You guys, this says confirmed seat. How dare you? You people cannot do this. Don't you know I'm an important? And I was staying in the background. Because when he done this, there was a nice little old Hispanic lady was making her way up to the counter, and he just barged right in front of her. And I went up and I leaned in and I said, I beg your pardon, sir, you do realize you've just stepped in front of a lady. And he said, that's okay. Don't you know that I have to be in the blah, blah, blah.
He's gonna play things.
This is gonna be fun. So when he stormed away, I went up to the nice little Hispanic lady. She didn't speak any English, and I said, is there somebody can help? She said, they got a lady who can help me. And I went to the other agent and I said, miss, is there a way I can ensure that guy doesn't get my seat? She said, I'm sorry, sir, I really don't have any control over that. I said, but he's an asshole. Don't you have some flag you can set? Asshole? So they know to give him a crappy seat? Because I had a good seat because, suck my dick a little flyer, right? I don't want him to get my seat. I'm not volunteering if he gets my seat. She said, oh, really, sir, I'm really sorry. Please just sit. We're trying our best. Step back. And she looked like she was ready to cry. So I said, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just, forget I said anything. So I waited, and a couple more people came up, and time was getting close to board, and here came the gentleman again. Why is this taking so long? Why can't it? I need to be, and I am important, and I am this guy, and the enormous, and I am a great blah, 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 and he, and my, blah, blah, blah. And he's ranting and screaming and shouting at her. Kind of sounded like two, but less erudite and a lot less good looking. And I'm standing behind him saying, lady, the poor lady's typing going, now, I am going to make up a name for this gentleman. We're going to use the name Callahan because that just happened to come to mind, probably because you mentioned Irish people, right? She said, I'm really sorry, Mr. Callahan, we are doing our best. And he stormed off. And I glanced over and the little tiny Hispanic lady was sitting there and she was knitting. And she looked up and she looked at me and she said, so, finally, the gate agent said, Passenger Conway, yeah, hello, hi, and she handed me the magic, amazing $600 voucher. Put it right in here. That is $600 I can spend. Now here is a trick for those of you who may not fly very often. This is a trick you should learn from an experienced frequent flyer. If they say, we're offering a free ticket, don't take it. That's a scam. Because I fell for that once. There was a family going to Orlando. Mother, father, 2 daughters. They were going to Orlando. There were only 3 seats available. The father was going to have to be left behind. And I thought, okay, I can't have that. So I went up to volunteer and they said, we'll give you a free ticket. I said, okay, everybody wins. I'll take the free ticket. Sir, you may have my seat. You may go with your family. Go with God. God bless you. Hope you have a good time. Yay! And then, the free ticket, it's good for a year. 1 year. Now, I plan my convention appearances a year in advance. So, I got my ticket to say, okay, what's the next convention? Okay, Midwest Fur Fest, right? Okay, hello, airline. I want to go to Chicago. Oh, sorry, you can't use the voucher on that flight. What? No, that's a class, this and whatever, in the class of voucher and the plus minus upside down fuel tax surcharge. There are no seats available for voucher use on that flight. Okay. I was going to go to further confusion that year. How about San Jose? No, sir, you can't use it on that flight either. Okay. At that time, I believe Megaplex was still in March, if I recall. How about Orlando? Nope, not Orlando. You know, this is not funny anymore, lady. How about this place? Nope. Can I go to Europe? Nope, can't use it internationally. Can I go to Seattle? Nope. And I got all the way to the end of the year. Everywhere I wanted to go, I could not use my free ticket because it was blacked out or wasn't the proper fare class or this and that. That's how they get you. And I was not going to let that stand. I said, ma'am, where can I use that ticket? She said, where do you want to go? I said, I already told you that. Now you tell me, where can I go that I can use that ticket? And I heard her go tappity tappy. She said, Greensboro, South Carolina. I said, do it! Give me a ticket to Greensboro, South Carolina. I'm going to fly there in the morning, fly back at night. Why? Because I'm going to make you goddamn pay! But this is not one of those. This is money in the bank. $600 voucher to use on a future flight. They can't deny me this. I'm keeping good care of this. So I am going to go to the Delta counter. It's 7 a.m. My flight doesn't take off till noon. I've got a lot of time on my hands. Whatever shall I do? So I started walking away. I'm going to go spend time, and I noticed there was a gentleman, very stalwart young gentleman, looking very depressed. I stopped, and I struck up conversation with him. He was a very nice man, from Egypt originally, I discovered. And I said, "Oh, are you on standby here too?" And he said, "Yes, I've been in the airport for 2 days. They keep bumping me from flights." I said, "Well, that's absolutely dreadful. I wish you luck, my good young man." And he said, "Yes, I'm in the service. If I don't get back to Fort Bragg, I'm going to be in the brig." I said, "Whoa. You're a soldier?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Active duty?" He said, "Yes." I said, "You're trying to get back to your duty station?" He said, "Yes." And I said, "And they're not helping you?" He said, "Well, I said, you're with me. Come here." Now I looked at the gate where the thing was. Now the flight had already started to board. So I said, "Okay, you step back here with me, and as soon as the flight boards, we'll see about doing something for you." And just then the lady said, "Passenger Callahan?" And here came the bloated sack of corpuscles, snarling and growling, and he went up and he smashed his fist down. "It's about time! I've been waiting, whatever, I've been waiting!" And I snuck up behind him. They'd given him my seat. He had my seat. And I said to the lady, and she said, and he stormed off, and I felt defeat. I felt I had not come out on top of this situation. I don't like that feeling. So as he chimed his ticket in and started down the jetway, I said, "Have a safe flight, Mr. Callahan, you self-important dickweed." And he stopped and turned around, and the flight attendant said, "Sir, you have to board the plane. Sir, you have to board the plane, sir." So I turned to the young soldier, and I said, "Let's see what we can do now." Now the flight had boarded. There were more than a dozen people on standby. Now, I'm old enough to remember this, as some of you are. But many of you do not remember, but you can look it up on YouTube. Go to YouTube and look up "last helicopter out of Saigon." That's what it looked like. And there were people climbing over themselves and clawing at the lady. "I need to get, help, help, help." And the soldier, I noticed, kind of drooped, and I said, "We're not licked yet, my boy. Come with me." Because down the hall, there was a United Club. Now remember, I have the magic SMD card. I am an SMD level frequent flyer. By the way, you guys got here late, that means suck my dick, okay? So I took the SMD card. Went in and said, "Hello, it's me, Dr. Conway. I have an SMD card. This young man needs to get to Raleigh. Just find him a way through." So they start going, click, okay, maybe we can send him through Denver. Nope, we can send him through Indianapolis. No, can we send him through Toronto? No, can we send him through Beirut? No, and they're click, click, no, no, no. And everything was booked up. And the soldier was looking more and more pained. And I said, "Could you explain to your commanding officer what went wrong?" And he said, "They're not interested in excuses." I said, "Oh God, what am I going to do?" But one of the ladies behind the counter said, "You know, if everything is booked up, you might be able to see if Southwest Airlines has a last-minute fare that we can get him on there. I said, well, can't you do that here? And she said, no, their system doesn't mesh with ours. I said, but you can get every other airline in the world there. And she said, Southwest. Oh, right. So I said, listen, young man, you stay here. You keep trying. I'm going to go inside, get onto the internudes, and I'm going to pull up Southwest Airlines, and I'm going to see if they have a flight. So I'm going to tappity, clickety. Ooh, look! There is a flight leaving from Seattle, connecting through Denver, getting into Raleigh-Durham at 11:30 p.m. That one is still available. $571. Oh God, so I went out and I said, listen, we got this one here. Do you have this kind of money available? And I saw his crest fall. And he pulled out his phone and said, let me see if I can call a friend. And he stepped outside. And I said to the lady, I said, is there anything? And she said, no. She said, everything is solidly packed and overbooked. There's nothing else on the system. We cannot find anything. I said, boy, this flight of his, it's gonna board in like an hour. And I looked back outside and I saw him with the phone. He sort of did this. And I ran out and I said, did you get anything? And he said, no, I can't reach anyone that might be able to lend me the money. And I said, oh. I said, you're really gonna be up Schitt's Creek if you don't get back to Raleigh tonight, aren't you? And he just kind of nodded. And I said, you know, I'm still $29 up on the deal. So I bought him the ticket on Southwest. And he was a little flabbergasted, and I said, look, just don't worry about it, okay? Let's go inside, have some coffee, we'll get you your flight, okay? So we went and had some coffee. He told me a bit about himself. I told him a bit about myself. We struck up a nice conversation, became very, very good friends. And it came time that he needed to board his flight, and it was coming close. So I said, well, I'm going to go down to the Delta counter because I need to get my boarding pass. I'll come back here, and then we'll walk down together. You know, hey, it'll be wonderful. You know, thank you very much. Good times. We'll see each other off. So I went down to the Delta counter to get my noon flight, getting there at 10 p.m. And I went down to the Delta counter, which, if you've ever been in Seattle-Tacoma Airport, the United terminal is in Seattle and the Delta terminal is in Tacoma. You have to get on a train, and then a bus and a trolley and walk 4 miles, and then get on another train to get to the Delta. So I went to the Delta counter. And I went up and I showed the lady my little thing, and she went tappity tap. She said, oh, you're first class all the way. I said, karma works sometimes. Everybody wins in this story. I love it. So she gave me my boarding passes. And I started back, took the walk to the train, and then the train to the bus, and then the bus to the camel, and I got on the camel and we rode, and then I waited for the taxi and hitchhiked back to the United. And 3 quarters of the way there, I looked at my boarding pass and it said, yay, first class, leaving at 11:30 p.m. tonight. I said, whoa, wait. This was not the deal. I think I have a problem. I need to talk to them. So I reversed the trip. I went back. I went back to the Delta counter and I said, what's going on? And she said, oh, we had to change your flight. I said, well, obviously, this was not the deal. And she said, the original flight was canceled. I said, why? You're Delta, not United. She said, well, there's heavy weather in Raleigh. Huh? There's heavy wet. What? Is 3/4 of an inch of snow falling? And so I tappity tappity. She said, yes. The airport's closed. I thought, oh my God, my new friend. So I went charging back to the United Club, and he was on the phone to Southwest Airlines. And when I ran back, he said, my flight was canceled. I said, give me that phone. And I said, now you listen to me. You find me a way to get this man to Raleigh-Durham tonight. And she said, well, I've been trying, but everything is closed. I said, I don't want to hear closed. 3/4 of an inch of snow, what kind of pussies live in Raleigh, okay? I just want him to land. Just fly over, push him out the window. He's a soldier, he'll survive. She said, well, Raleigh's closed, we can't go there. I said, okay. How about Charlotte? Charlotte's closed. How about Greensboro? Greensboro's closed. I started rattling off all the airports in the area. Everything was closed due to this massive, colossal 3/4 inch snowfall that was paralyzing the entire southern United States. I said, Washington, D.C. She said, oh, that's open. I said, do you have a flight? She said, yes. I said, put him on that flight. She said, well, there's a difference in fare. I said, now, wait a minute. You canceled his flight, you put him on the other flight, and I'm not paying any difference in fare. She said, oh, but you have to. I said, why? And she said, Southwest. So I said, how the hell much is the new fare? She said, $592. I'm still $8 up on the deal. So I said, give me the damn ticket. So she bought the ticket, but the flight was boarding in half an hour. So I said, get your stuff, we've got to get you to the gate. So I took him to the front of the club, and I shook his hand, and he was still looking very shell-shocked, and he said, I can't believe you did this. And then he stopped and he said, wait a minute, how am I going to get from Washington to Fort Bragg? And I said, let me make a call. Hang on. Call. Wait there. Call it up Enterprise, rent-a-car. Anthrocon with Enterprise, thank you. Yep. And I made the arrangement. I ran back to him, I said, do you have $160 available? He said, yeah, I think so. I said, that'll have to do. Mutter. Okay, listen. Here's a reservation number. When you get to Washington, D.C., give them this reservation number. They'll put you in a car. You can drive to Fort Bragg. Be there by morning. And he stared at it, and he said, okay, do I need to say anything else? I said, yes. If anybody asks, your name is Sam Conway, the chairman of Anthrocon, and you're a furry. Don't ask questions. Just say So he said, okay. And we went back out to the front. I said, dude, your flight is boarding out. You got to go. So he picked up his bags and turned around and he said, I can't think of any way to repay you. I said, well, that's easy. Serve your country well, come back in one piece. We'll call it square. I can't remember what time I started. What time did I start? How much time do I have left? 5 hours. This won't last no 5 hours. Oh, this one. got a factory second. You German. Yeah, German. Fix that.
You can do it!
Hurry up, I'm running out of skills.
It's Franz Reinhardt, ist ein deutscher Wein. You know, every once in a while someone asks me if I could tell a story from the far past. The problem is I don't remember what I had for lunch today. But somebody actually, who is a very, very dear friend of mine, asked me if I would retell a story that goes back to the very early days of my story hour career. Many years ago, I used to be a disaster service volunteer with the American Red Cross before I learned that they're actually an organized crime outfit. That's another story for another day. One of my duties was on Friday nights. I would get together with a team of volunteers and we would quite literally just drive around Philadelphia looking for disasters. Now you're laughing. Philadelphia is one big disaster. You cannot drive 50 feet without encountering a disaster. So that's what we did. We would drive around and sure enough there'd be a fire, a building collapse, a flood, a famine, who knows what. And we would respond to it. What is our job? What is the job of the Red Cross volunteer? Not the Red Cross, their job is to suck money out of you, but the job of the Red Cross volunteer is to comfort those who have lost everything and to try to give them the strength that it takes to carry on. My team and I were driving through Philadelphia. Now, some of you may remember a way back in Philadelphia, when Anthrocon was there, when we had the Philadelphia Search and Rescue as our charities. Anybody remember that? Some of you old people do. The captain of my team at the time was Mark Hopkins, the very man who was in charge of Philadelphia Search and Rescue that you met then. So Mark is an old friend of mine. We were driving along. I was in the passenger seat of the van. He was in the driver's seat. And we heard on our scanner a 911 call came through for a structure fire. And the address was garbled, but the neighborhood was close to where we were. This is 1990s technology. You know, structure fire, go to the Northern Liberty. I said, what? He says, it's Northern Liberties, that's where we are. Now, it's a scanner, we can't call in. And I said, well, how are we going to find out where it is? Mark was a remarkable man. He was the disaster service volunteers' god. Mark, driving, shouted to me, hold the wheel, and climbed out the window. And I'm driving, holding the wheel, he's going, turn left here. Wait, right turn, I'm like, wait, hang on. Left here. You made the left. came across a fully involved row home, that's connected homes. The fire department had not yet arrived. Mark's good. So, before the fire department arrives, we do what we can. There's all sorts of people standing around outside, and we started questioning them. That house, does anyone live there? No, they said, that's a vacant home. The home next to it is vacant, but the next home along, I said to a gentleman, does anybody live in house number 3? He said, there's a lady lives there in a wheelchair. Uh-oh. Now, right now it's not a concern, because the house in the middle does not appear to have any involvement. But I filed that away. The fire department showed up, and they started playing their hoses on the fire. Now, at this point, no affected individuals. All we can do is kind of hang out. Do a little bit of, community outreach. Talk with the folks in the neighborhood. Make nice with them. Kind of like what we did with the city of Pittsburgh at the parade today. How long have you lived here? Yes, you're junior of the Red Cross is here to help you out if you ever need help here. And I happened to turn at just the point in time that I witnessed for the first time in my emergency services career what is called a backdraft. The entire house just abruptly exploded in flame. An orange fireball shot out of every window, and firefighters were literally jumping off of the ladders to get away from the flames. Now, this, of course, led to great consternation amongst us and the crowd and the assembled firefighters. And I noticed that now there was smoke pouring out of the windows of the intervening house. That's a problem. So a passing firefighter was going by. I said, sir, there is a lady in a wheelchair in that home, according to neighbors. And he said, yes, got it. And he dropped in his room, he ran into that home. And I was waiting outside very apprehensively. And about 2 minutes went by, and then 3 minutes. And I approached the door, and by now there was smoke starting to billow out of the front door. And I couldn't see inside. If you have never been close to a house fire, it's not like you see on TV. These people don't go walking through the flames calling people's names. That smoke is hot, it is acrid, it will sear your eyes. You cannot see, you cannot breathe. And I'm standing back, my tears coming down my face, and I shouted inside, is everything all right in there? And I heard the fireman saying, you have to get out of here, you're going to burn up, I have to take you out. And I heard a woman's voice saying, no, I can't leave. And I leaned in, do you need help? And he said, yes, grab the front of the wheelchair. And through the smoke, I saw the front of a wheelchair emerge, and a woman's leg. And the other one. And I noticed that this lady was substantial. We used to call that jolly. She was the jolliest woman I'd ever met. And the fireman said, grab the front of the wheelchair. And I'm thinking, dude, the Red Cross doesn't pay workman's comp. Now, it is often said that disaster brings out the best in neighbors. It is true. I've been in that business. It is true. These 3 young Hispanic gentlemen with the face tattoos and the bandanas, and they looked like they would just as soon plunge a knife into me as to say hi, ran up on either side of me, and all 4 of us grabbed the front of the wheelchair. Now the problem is there's 6 stone steps going down to the street. So we wrestled this wheelchair and this incredibly jolly woman down to the sidewalk. And she was hysterical, she was inconsolable. No, I have to go back in, I have to go back. And the fireman ran off. Now it's my job. I said, ma'am, you can't go back in. Your house is on fire. I can't let you back in there. She said, but Elvis is in there. Oh, I got a live one tonight, don't I? I said, ma'am, it's okay, ma'am. Elvis is fine. I saw him in Las Vegas. He's fine. He's not in your house. And she looked at me. She said, Elvis is my cat. Oh. Oops. I looked inside. There is black smoke pouring out of her front door. And she was crying and sobbing. She said, you have to go get him. You have to go get him. The first rule, number one primary rule of disaster service is you never make promises. But my heart broke. This poor woman sobbing inconsolably. Her dear cat, her best friend in the world was in there. So I said, it's okay, ma'am. I'll get your cat. The smoke was awful. It was impossible to breathe, barely possible to see. But I went into the house, choking, trying to see, my flashlight beam barely penetrating more than 3 feet. It was just like Edinburgh, as a matter of fact, and trying to see around. And as the beam played across, I saw 2 little green glows. And I went back, and on top of this little tiny television set, there was this little black and white cat. You guys ever see Felix the Cat, the cartoon? Yeah. This was the spitting image of Felix the Cat. He had the white around here and everything, and the big black eyes and the tall ears. So I went up and I said, okay, you must be Elvis. And I went up to him, I kind of picked him up, and he's like, oh, I love you, I love you. Oh, yes, you're my best friend, I love you, I love you. I called out to Mark, and I said, I'm going to, and just then Elvis got scared. And he jumped out of my arms. And I thought, oh crap. So I went back outside, and I said, okay, we're gonna have to stall this lady. So we went up and I said, ma'am, is there someone on the block who takes care of you that maybe we can take at her house? She said, there's a lady at the end of the block who looks after me. So I said, Mark, you stay with her. I'll go and talk to the lady at the end of the block. And I ran down to the end of the block, ran up these 6 stone steps, and I knocked on the door, and the door opened, and 2 monstrous horses, also known as Great Danes, pounced on me and started washing the soot off my face. They were very happy to see me. They'd never seen another person in all their lives. Yeah, thank you, yes, thank you, 500-pound dog, thank you very much. And when I stood up and pushed the dogs off me, down the hall came a little old lady who was 1 million years old. Seriously. And I said, ma'am, your neighbor, house fire, can we bring her here? And she's trying to tell me, yes, and no, of course the dogs are excited. They're jumping on me and licking my face, and I'm trying to, I said, ma'am, can you maybe call your dogs off so we can talk? She said, oh, they're just happy to see you. I said, yes, I'm happy to see them too, but I'm drowning. I don't, help me. So she said, yes, bring her down. So we went down and we got the jolly lady and we wheeled her down there and we looked at these 6 steps. And those nice Hispanic gentlemen had gone off somewhere. So Mark and I managed to wrestle this lady upstairs, and she grabbed my hand and she said, please get Elvis. All right, I'll get your cat. So we went back up, and I went back into the house. Now you know cats. You know cats. I went in about 3 feet, and here's Elvis sitting there looking at me like, what took you so long? Shall we? I'm like, oh, Elvis. And of course, he's like, oh, I love you, I love you. So I went out and I'm holding him, and Mark was out there. He said, let me have the cat. And so I said, well, you're gonna have to hold on to him. He's a little jumpy. He said, it's okay, I can hold on to the cat. So I said, okay, here's the cat. Now, the lady had asked me for several things before we left the house. She had wanted her blanket. She had wanted this and she wanted that. So I'm going around and I'm saying this house could explode at any moment. Not trying to get a goddamn blanket. But I promised. That's why you don't promise. So I got all the stuff in my arms and I came out, and the next home over was vacant. And I saw Mark at the cellar window going, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. And I said, oh, tell me you didn't let him go. He said he jumped, he I said, so I said, here, you take this stuff to the million-year-old lady. I'll get Elvis. And he said, the fire captain told me not to go down there. I said, the fire captain told you not to go down there. Now here's the thing, this is a vacant home in a Philadelphia neighborhood. In that basement, they are known for having anything. There could be rats, there could be sewage, there could be a dead body, there could be a live body, or there could be all of the above. But I was young and fairly stupid. So I took off my helmet, my big white helmet, and set it down, and I slithered down. I was skinnier then, a lot skinnier. I slithered down in the window, and I'm flashing the light beam around, and even this house was starting to show some haze. And I saw little green glows again, and there was Elvis. And I went and I picked him up, and he's, oh, I love you, I love you. And I said, well, you could have loved me a little bit more before, okay? And I noticed for the first time, Elvis had a little collar on. Okay. And I went out, and Mark was standing there, he said, give me the cat. I said, no, we did that once before. I will take it. He said, no, just give me the damn cat. You need to get cleaned up once you get out of there. I said, what are you trying to tell me? And he said, oh. Okay. So I gave him the cat. And the cat loved Mark. Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. And he started up the block. And I pulled myself out the window and up onto the sidewalk. And I heard a scream. A blood-curdling scream. And when I turned and I looked, Elvis had decided he didn't love Mark anymore. Because what I saw was something looked like this. Ow, ow, Jesus Christ, ow, stop it, oh my God, help me, somebody, oh my God. And the thing is ripping him to pieces, this little wildcat, little Tasmanian devil. And he ran down to the house, kicked up the doors, and here's your goddamn cat. I said, Mark, the dogs. But it was too late. Now, fortunately, anyone who has a cat knows that cats are exempted from the laws of gravity. Elvis, having been hurled from Mark's arms, sort of flew in an arc up onto the mantelpiece, and the dogs never knew he was there. And I went down, and Mark turned around like this. He was covered in blood. He looked like he had suffered the torment of 10,000 cuts. His t-shirt was as red as the emblem on it. His face had scratches on it. And he walked toward me and I said, Mark, he said, don't touch me. I said, let's get you cleaned up. Come on. We went over to the ambulance. We sat him down and I took off his shirt. I said, dude, how many claws does a cat have? I think he left a few of them in you. We're pouring peroxide on him and that cleans him down. And we looked up and here comes the little million-year-old lady. Elvis is an orange cat. I looked at Mark. He looked at me, and he said, we'll paint the fucker! I went big to show me what we'll paint the fucker looks like. I could go on. I could tell you what happened with Elvis. I could tell you how Elvis's next flight in United Airlines was canceled and he had to have a $600 voucher. But I've had my hour. They call this, as a matter of fact, I think I've gone over. I call this Uncle Kage Story Hour. I would very much love to stay up here and continue telling you stories. This is going to be somebody else's stage very shortly. So, I'm taking these with me. Fox is taking his... I say, Beck, do you, We'll talk backstage. This is Fox and More, ladies and gentlemen. This is Beck Lee, the sign language interpreter, professional as a piss man. And I am the wrinkly old trunk over Kage. I want to thank you very much for listening tonight.